Hello there, welcome back guys. Welcome back to a brand new video of Mighty Ghost Hack YouTube channel. So guys, this is the another newly created playlist. So this playlist is all about the JavaScript interview question that is mostly asked. So here in this playlist I will try to cover all those questions which is from basic to advanced. So let's talk about this video. So in this video, let's talk about the JavaScript interview question. So this is the beginner one question. Here we will see the main difference between the undefined and null and try to understand how this is working in the multiple scenario. And believe me guys, this is the most frequently asked question. Even the beginner as well as the senior software developer may also get confused the difference between the undefined and null. Just because this undefined and null are basically available in JavaScript only and which actually work differently. So in JavaScript there are special two types of non-exist empty value and which is denoted by the undefined and null, and it is important to understand as well. So let's understand what is undefined. So undefined is basically means the value of variable is not defined, just like the simple definition, which means you declare a variable, you define a variable, but you did not initialize the value. And the same for the null. Null means the value of variable is defined and but it's empty and non-existent value. Now these two statements are pretty clear. Let's see what they mean. So this is the single variable I define, but I did not initialize it yet. I did not assign the value to the number variable and I am simply trying to console. If I do this and when I run this program, you can see undefined at num. So the num contain the undefined as a value. So undefined is an empty and non-existing value. So similar for the null, if I assign value as a null and save this program and just try to run this program, now you can see the num contain the null value. So the difference is pretty clear. You can see that null means the value of variable is defined. Null means the value of variable is defined, but it is empty and non-existence, which means the null is the empty and non-existence value, and that is declared to the num variable. But in case of undefined, we simply define the variable, but we does not initialize the value to it. Now it will give us the undefined. Here you can see that. So this is what the basic difference between the null and undefined. Now let's talk about some key points we have to remember during work with the null and the JavaScript. So these are the some key points we have to remember. So JavaScript has a two distinct value for nothing, for empty, and for non-existence value, which is known as the null and undefined. If you compare with the Python or any Java programming language or any other programming language, so Python have only one empty value, one nothing value, which is none. And in case of Java, it contain only null value as a empty. But in case of JavaScript, we have null as well as the undefined. Now the second, JavaScript has a global variable undefined, whose value is undefined and whose type is also undefined. So undefined is nothing but the value of global variable. Suppose if you declare any global variable, then initially it will contain the undefined as the value and whose type is also undefined, which means if I check the type of undefined, it also given as the undefined as a type. Then undefined is not a constant or keyword. Yeah, that is right. It is not a constant or keyword. Undefined and null are the primitive values and you can assign those to any variable. So here we have to focus. Earlier what happened, only null comes under the primitive values, but later on the undefined is also getting included in the primitive value. So you might be wondering undefined is not come under the primitive value, but that is not true. Right now you can consider that it is under the primitive value. Let me show you that. So here you can see in JavaScript there are the 7 primitive data types. String, number, big, int, boolean, undefined, as well as the null are comes under the primitive data type. Now, null is not an object. It is a primitive value. Yeah, right. That what we just saw. And others think that it is a object just because the type of null return object. Now let me explain what it's mean. So now if I assign value as a null and check the type of num, so it is object. So that is what it's saying, that null is not an object. Yes, it is not an object. It is just a single primitive value which denoting empty and the non-existing value. But its type of is objects. That's why some other think that it is the object, but that is not true. And if you see for the undefined, if I run this program now, you can see for undefined the type of undefined is also undefined. So this is what the another difference that is mostly asked in the interview. The type of undefined and the type of null, both are the different. And also mostly asked interview question is like, let me write another variable. It should be num1 and let me assign to the null value. Now if I compare num1 double equal to the num value, right now num is undefined and the num1 is null. If we use the double equal sign, then obviously it will return us the true, just because it is just checking for the value, and the value of null and the value of undefined are denoting only nothing and the empty value, so that's why it is true. But if I use the triple equal sign, so triple equals are also comparing the value as well as the data type. So you may know that the num undefined data type is undefined and num1 null value data type is object. So right now if I run this program, it will give us the false as a result. So this is another key difference you have to remember. Now let's talk about the multiple way we will get the undefined values. So this is another multiple way to get undefined value. These are the some example that we will get the undefined value. Now the question might comes into your mind that num is undefined, num1 is null, and both are denoting only emptiness, nothing value. Then why their type of is different? So as per the logical explanation, in the initial version of JavaScript, value were stored in the 32-bit and the first 3-bit represented by the data type only. And for all object, it was 3-bit. And the null was the representation of a null pointer. However, there are no null pointer available in the JavaScript and C. So that's why for the representation they use the 000. So whenever the JavaScript interpreter reads the null value, it's going to consider it as an object and return the object as the data type. So this is what the misconception happening over this JavaScript language in the initial version. Also, I just wanted to answer the another key question which is commonly asked in the interview. Just like the null, we assign the empty value to the num1. So can we assign undefined explicitly to a single variable? And the answer is yes. So here also I can assign the undefined explicitly. So it will does not cause any problem. If I just run this program, you can see the undefined. So explicitly also we can assign undefined just like the null. And another key difference I just wanted to explain. Now the question is like, what will be the output if I use the undefined and null with the arithmetic operator? Let's check now. So num equal num plus 1. If I use the additional operator with the undefined, and again if I use the num1 equal num1 plus 1. So in this case, for the undefined, it will going to return as the nan value, and but for the num, it will going to return as 1. Let's see now. Let me copy this console and paste the num1 here. Now let me try to run this program. Yeah, here you can see that. So nan add a num and the 1 add a num1. So this is what the another key difference between the null and the undefined behavior. So this is also the most commonly asked interview question. And another interview question I just wanted to cover. It is just a simple, let me remove this. Alright, now let me show you when you work with the undefined value you have to become a more cautious, because just I show you when you work with the num value, if you use any operator, then simply it is going to return us the nan value. So here is the another example of undefined value work with the another arithmetic operator. So this is the function which will calculate a simple interest. So P is could be the principal amount, N is the number of year, and R is the rate of interest. And this is the simple formula to calculate a simple interest. If you see, the principal amount value is assigned and number of year and value is also assigned. But for the R, right now the value is not assigned. The rate of interest is not given. As per the JavaScript, it is defined but not initialized. So obviously it will going to return us the nan value. If I run this program, you can see the nan at simple interest value. So this is what for the undefined. Now suppose if I change this value to the null, then obviously it will going to return us the 0 as the value. So this is what, whenever you use any arithmetic operator with the null and the undefined, it will going to return the nan as well as the 0 in the response. So this is also mostly asked in the interview questions, and I hope I cover almost interview questions which is related to null and undefined. If I miss anything, then you can simply comment out below, so the other user also might get to aware about those questions. So this is it for this video. I hope you enjoy this. So we will meet again with the another cool JavaScript interview question. Till then, bye.